The stars outside the observation deck looked different than they did from Earth. Ambassador Sarah, Chen pressed her hand against the transparent wall and stared at the massive station that hung in space before them. It was bigger than any city she had ever seen. Lights flickered across its surface like a living thing breathing in the darkness. "We're here," Captain Marcus Webb said from behind her. His voice was quiet but tense. "First contact with an alien civilization." "Hell of a day," Sarah nodded. The shuttle had been traveling for 3 hours since they left Earth's moon base. Now they were approaching Axiom Prime, a neutral world where the Galactic Federation Council met. She still could not believe any of this was real. 6 months ago, humans had invented faster-than-light travel. 2 months ago, they detected alien signals. Now they were about to meet representatives from over 200 different species. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. Sarah straightened her uniform and walked toward the airlock with her team. Webb followed close behind, along with Dr. James Okafor, their chief science advisor, and 3 other specialists. The door hissed open. The chamber beyond was enormous. The ceiling stretched so high that Sarah could barely see it. Thousands of beings filled the space. Some looked almost human. Others were nothing like anything Sarah had ever imagined. Creatures with 6 legs, beings made of light, entities that floated in spheres filled with liquid. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. A tall figure approached them. It walked on 2 legs and had a head with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its skin was smooth and silver. When it spoke, a small device on its chest translated the words into English. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Counselor Vrax of the Archon species. We have waited many cycles to meet you." Sarah bowed slightly. "Thank you, Counselor. We are honored to be here." Vrax led them through the massive chamber. Other aliens stopped to stare at the humans. Some made sounds that the translator could not interpret. Others simply watched with whatever they used for eyes. Sarah felt like a specimen under a microscope. They entered a smaller room with a curved table. Dozens of aliens sat around it representing different species. Vrax gestured for Sarah and her team to sit in the empty chairs. "You have achieved faster-than-light travel," Vrax said. "This is the requirement for contact with the Federation. We are a union of 247 species. We have existed for over 50,000 of your years. We maintain peace, share resources, and advance together." Dr. Okafor leaned forward. "How do you maintain peace with so many different species?" "Through transparency and equality," another alien answered. This one looked like a huge insect with crystal wings. "We share everything. No secrets. No advantages. All species contribute to the common good." Vrax tapped a control panel. A holographic document appeared in the air above the table. The text shifted and changed until it displayed in English. "This is the Treaty of Shared Knowledge," Vrax explained. "Every species that joins the Federation signs this treaty. It is our most important law. When you sign, you agree to share all your technology with the Federation database. In return, you receive access to all our technology, medical advances that extend life to 500 years, machines that can restore dead planets, energy systems that power entire solar systems." Sarah read the document carefully. It was long and complex, but the main idea was simple. Give everything. Get everything. No holding back. 98% of all species sign this treaty within their first 10 years of membership, Vrax said. His 4 eyes gleamed with pride. The other 2% sign within 50 years. It is the foundation of our civilization. Captain Webb frowned. Everyone signs? No exceptions? None, Vrax said firmly. Why would anyone refuse? The benefits are beyond measure. Vrax stood and motioned for them to follow. They walked through corridors filled with wonders. One room showed medical technology that could regrow limbs in hours. Another displayed ships that could cross the galaxy in days. They saw machines that could create food from nothing but energy, devices that could predict weather patterns decades in advance, and weapons that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. All of this becomes yours when you sign, Vrax said. Your people will never suffer disease again, never go hungry, never face the darkness of space unprepared. This is what unity provides. Sarah's mind raced. The technology was incredible. Earth still struggled with cancer, hunger, and climate change. The Federation could solve all these problems instantly. How could anyone refuse such an offer? But something bothered her. She could not put it into words yet. A feeling in her gut that told her to be careful. We need time to review the treaty, Sarah said, to consult with our government. This is a massive decision. Vrax's expression was hard to read, but Sarah sensed disappointment. Of course. We understand. You have 7 days. Then we will reconvene and welcome Earth into the Federation. The Archon's tone made it clear that he expected them to sign. Everyone always signed. That night, Sarah's team gathered in their assigned quarters. The rooms were comfortable but strange. The furniture adjusted to their bodies automatically. The walls displayed whatever scenery they wanted. Webb had chosen a view of the Rocky Mountains. It's too good to be true, Webb said, pacing back and forth. Nobody gives away everything for free. They're not giving it away for free, Dr. Okafor corrected. They want our technology in return. What technology? Webb laughed. We just figured out FTL travel last year. These people have been flying around the galaxy for 50,000 years. What could we possibly have that they want? Okafor pulled out his datapad. That's what's been bothering me, too. So I did some research. I hacked into the Federation database. Don't worry, their security is terrible. They don't believe in keeping secrets, remember? Sarah raised an eyebrow. What did you find? I found that the Federation has barely made any new discoveries in the last 1,000 years. They combine existing technology in new ways. They refine and improve. But actual breakthroughs? Original innovations? Almost nothing. The room fell silent. There's more, Okafor continued. I looked at the histories of species that joined the Federation. In every case, their rate of innovation dropped dramatically after signing the treaty. Within 2 or 3 generations, they stopped creating new technology. They just used what the Federation provided. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Why would that happen? Think about it, Okafor said. If you have access to 50,000 years of accumulated technology, why bother inventing something new? Why spend decades developing a new engine when you can just download plans for one that already works? Why struggle with problems when someone else has already solved them? Webb stopped pacing. They're not asking us to share. They're asking us to stop growing. Sarah looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting for her decision. Billions of people who could benefit from Federation technology. But at what cost? We need to talk to Earth, Sarah said. And we need to think very carefully about what we're about to do. The quantum communication link crackled to life. Sarah's face appeared on screens in government buildings across Earth. Leaders from every nation sat in their chairs, waiting to hear what she had to say. The emergency session of Earth's United Government Council had been called within hours of her request. Thank you all for gathering so quickly, Sarah began. I'm transmitting the Treaty of Shared Knowledge to you now. Please review it while I explain what we've learned. For the next 30 minutes, Sarah described everything. The massive Federation station, the 247 species, the technology that seemed like magic, and the treaty that would give humanity access to it all. When she finished, the council chamber erupted with voices. We have to sign, the Brazilian president shouted. My people are dying from diseases that the Federation cured 10,000 years ago. Think about climate change, the European Union representative added. They have technology that could fix our planet in months. How can we refuse that? But not everyone agreed. The Chinese delegate stood slowly. Ambassador Chen, what was that you said about innovation rates? Sarah nodded to Dr. Okafor, who appeared on another screen. He looked tired but alert. I've spent the last 72 hours analyzing Federation history, Okafor said. The pattern is clear. Species join the Federation. They sign the treaty. They get access to incredible technology. And then they stop inventing new things. Not immediately. It takes 2 or 3 generations, but it always happens. Perhaps they stop inventing because they already have everything they need, the Indian Prime Minister suggested. That's what I thought too, Okafor replied. But then I dug deeper. I found something interesting. Humans have several technologies that the Federation doesn't have. The chamber went quiet. That's impossible, someone said. They've been spacefaring for 50,000 years. Okafor shook his head. Different doesn't mean better in every way. Evolution takes different paths. Our technology evolved under different pressures. Let me give you examples. He pulled up a series of displays. First, quantum encryption. We developed it 20 years ago. The Federation has quantum communication, but their encryption is primitive. I tested it. Our systems can break their codes. Their systems can't even understand ours. Why is that important? Someone asked. Captain Webb's voice came through the speakers. Because intelligence wins wars. If we can read their communications and they can't read ours, we have an advantage. A big one, Okafor continued. Second, artificial intelligence. The Federation had 3 member species try to develop true AI. All 3 times the AI became self-aware and destroyed the species that created it. They're terrified of AI now. It's forbidden. But our AI development followed a different path. We didn't try to create consciousness. We created tools that think without being aware. It's a subtle difference, but it means we have AI and they don't. Third, Okafor said, his voice growing stronger, our medical nanotechnology. The Federation has excellent medicine. They can cure most diseases, but their approach is all engineering. They design nanobots to fix specific problems. Our nanobots are different. We base them on evolutionary principles. They adapt. They learn. They can handle problems that Federation medicine has never seen before. An African Union representative raised her hand. What else? Psychological warfare, Webb said bluntly. Game theory. Strategic deception. The Federation species mostly evolved without natural predators. They don't think like we do. They don't understand competition the way we do. Humanity spent millions of years as both predator and prey. It shaped how we think, how we plan, how we fight. The Japanese ambassador leaned forward. Are you suggesting we might need to fight them? I'm suggesting we should keep our advantages, Webb replied. Just in case. Sarah watched the faces on the screens. She could see the conflict in their eyes. The desire for Federation technology fighting against the fear of losing something precious. Professor Lin Zhao spoke next. She was old, nearly 90, and one of Earth's leading experts on sociology. May I share an observation? Please, Sarah said. I've been studying the Federation's history very carefully, Lin said. What strikes me is not what they've achieved, but what they've lost. 50,000 years is a long time. In that time, humans went from caves to spaceships. But the Federation? They've been essentially the same for the last 10,000 years. Oh, they've improved things, made them more efficient. But revolutionary changes? New paradigms? Nothing. She paused, letting her words sink in. I believe this treaty is well-intentioned, Lin continued, but it has an unintended consequence. When you have access to all knowledge, you stop questioning. When every problem has a solution in the database, you stop thinking creatively. When failure costs nothing because someone else has already succeeded, you stop taking risks. Are you saying we should refuse? Someone asked. I'm saying we should think about what we're trading, Lin answered. We're not just trading our current technology. We're trading our future potential, our ability to surprise ourselves, our capacity to dream up something that has never existed before. The debate raged for 3 days. Sarah watched from the Federation station as Earth argued with itself. Some called it madness to refuse. Others called it madness to accept. The vote was split down the middle. On the 3rd day, Dr. Okafor presented his final analysis. I've been running simulations. If we sign the treaty, I estimate that human innovation will decline by 70% within 50 years. Within 100 years, we'll be like every other Federation species, comfortable, safe, stagnant. But we'll be alive, someone pointed out. The medical technology alone will save billions of lives over the next century. Will it? Okafor challenged. The Federation's medicine is 50,000 years old. It's very good at solving 50,000-year-old problems. But what about new problems? What about diseases that haven't emerged yet? What about threats that don't exist in the Federation database? He pulled up another display. I found records of a plague 10,000 years ago. It affected 40 species. Federation medicine was useless against it. Do you know how they stopped it? They didn't. It burned itself out. Killed trillions. If they had kept innovating, kept developing new approaches, maybe they could have stopped it, but they'd forgotten how. The room fell silent again. Captain Webb added his perspective. There's a military concern too. In the Federation, everyone has access to everyone else's weapons. That means there's no deterrence, no unknown capabilities. If someone decides to attack, there are no surprises. The only thing preventing war is the Federation's cultural norm of peace. But cultural norms can change. What are you proposing? The Secretary General asked. Sarah took a deep breath. We join the Federation. We participate in their councils. We trade with them. We make friends. But we don't sign the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. We keep our unique technology. We keep innovating. We keep growing. They'll never accept that, someone said. They said everyone signs. Then we'll be the first to refuse, Sarah replied. We'll explain why. We'll offer alternatives. We'll propose collaborative projects where we work together without surrendering intellectual property. We'll share life-saving technology freely. But our advantages, our defensive capabilities, our potential for future breakthroughs, those we keep. The vote was close. 49% wanted to sign the treaty. 48% wanted to refuse. 3% abstained. It came down to the Secretary General's deciding vote. He was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Humanity has always been at its best when facing challenges, he said. When we had to struggle, to compete, to innovate or die. The Federation is offering us paradise. But paradise has no struggle, no competition, no need to improve. My grandmother used to say that comfort is the enemy of greatness. He looked directly at Sarah through the screen. Ambassador Chen, you are authorized to join the Federation, but you will not sign the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. We will remain human. We will keep our edge, and we will show them what innovation really means. Sarah felt her heart pound. Understood, sir. As the connection ended, Webb looked at her with concern. They're not going to like this. No, Sarah agreed. They're not. The council chamber was packed. Over 1,000 beings had gathered to witness what should have been a simple ceremony. Representatives from every major species in the Federation filled the seats. Some had traveled for weeks just to see the newest members join their ancient union. Sarah walked to the center of the chamber with her team behind her. The lights were bright and hot. Thousands of eyes in every shape and color imaginable watched her every move. She carried a datapad in her hands. Her fingers felt numb. Counselor Vrack stood at the front of the chamber. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction. Behind him, other senior council members waited. They had prepared everything for the signing ceremony. Cameras from across the Federation recorded the moment. This would be broadcast to billions of viewers on hundreds of worlds. Humans of Earth, Vrax began. His voice amplified throughout the massive space. You have completed your review period. The Federation welcomes you with open arms. We are stronger together. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied. Please step forward and seal the treaty that will unite your people with ours. Sarah did step forward, but she did not reach for the signing device. Instead, she looked up at Vrax and spoke clearly. Counselor Vrax, honored members of the Federation Council, we are grateful for this opportunity. Earth wishes to join the Galactic Federation. We wish to participate in your councils, to trade with your people, and to build lasting friendships across the stars. She paused. The chamber was absolutely silent. However, we must respectfully decline to sign the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. The reaction was immediate and explosive. 1,000 voices erupted at once. Shouts, clicks, whistles, and sounds that Sarah's translator couldn't process filled the air. Several council members jumped to their feet. Others made aggressive gestures that needed no translation. Vrax raised his hand for silence. It took several minutes for the noise to die down. His 4 eyes had narrowed to slits. Ambassador Chen, he said slowly, perhaps you misunderstand. The Treaty of Shared Knowledge is not optional. It is the foundation of our civilization. All species sign. All species share. This is the way it has been for 50,000 years. We understand the treaty perfectly, Sarah replied. We have studied it carefully. We recognize its good intentions. But we cannot sign it. Another council member stood. This one looked like a floating jellyfish surrounded by a shimmering field. This is an insult. You wish to join our federation but refuse to contribute? You want the benefits without the obligations? No, Sarah said firmly. We're willing to contribute, but not in the way you're asking. Dr. Okafor stepped forward and activated a holographic display. Charts and graphs appeared in the air above them. We have analyzed the Federation's history, Okafor said. This data shows the rate of technological innovation over the last 10,000 years. As you can see, the rate has been declining steadily. New breakthroughs are rare. Most innovations are simply combinations of existing technology. Angry murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several council members protested, but Okafor continued. We also analyzed the innovation rates of individual species before and after joining the Federation. In every single case, innovation declined sharply within a few generations of signing the treaty. We believe this is not coincidence. It's cause and effect. You accuse us of stifling innovation? An alien that looked like a giant mantis demanded. We have created wonders beyond your imagination. You have preserved wonders, Okafor corrected gently. You have refined them. But when was the last time someone invented something truly new? Something that changed everything? The chamber fell quiet. Several council members looked at each other uncomfortably. Sarah took over. We're not refusing because we're selfish. We're refusing because we want to keep growing. When you have access to all answers, you stop asking questions. When every problem has a solution in the database, you stop struggling to find new solutions. When failure costs nothing, you stop taking risks. Struggle is inefficient, Vrax said coldly. Risk is dangerous. Why should species suffer when we can simply share what works? Because suffering teaches us, Captain Webb said, speaking for the first time. Because risk pushes us to be better. Because the struggle itself makes us stronger. He walked to the holographic display and changed the image. Now it showed Earth's history, wars, plagues, disasters, but also progress, medicine, science, spaceflight. Humanity has faced extinction dozens of times, Webb said. Plagues killed half our population. Wars nearly destroyed us. Climate change threatened our world. But each time we had to innovate. We had to think differently. We had to create solutions that didn't exist before. That struggle made us who we are. Sarah nodded. We propose an alternative. We'll join the Federation. We'll participate fully in your councils. We'll establish embassies on your worlds. We'll trade goods and services. And we'll collaborate on projects without surrendering our intellectual property. She activated another display. We call it the Collaborative Innovation Zone model. Multiple species work together on a specific problem. They share the process but not the underlying technology. They learn from each other without copying each other. The result belongs to all participants, but the methods remain proprietary. This is absurd, the jellyfish alien said. How can we trust you if you keep secrets? How can you grow if you don't? Sarah countered. Trust doesn't require total transparency. Friendship doesn't mean having no boundaries. Strong partners maintain their independence while working together. Another council member stood. This one was from a species Sarah hadn't seen before. It looked almost human, but with scales instead of skin. What about life-saving technology? It asked. Will you share that? Freely, Sarah said immediately. Any technology that directly saves lives, we will share without restriction. Medical advances. Environmental restoration. Disaster prevention. These things are too important to withhold. But weapons? Someone else asked. Defense systems? Those we keep, Captain Webb said bluntly. In a universe where everyone has the same weapons, the only defense is numbers. We're a single species. We're new here. We need advantages. Vrax's expression had turned to stone. You asked to join our federation while keeping your advantages. You want protection without vulnerability, benefits without sacrifice. This is not how the Federation works. Then maybe it's time the Federation worked differently, Sarah said. The words hung in the air like a challenge. The chamber erupted again. Some aliens shouted in anger. Others seemed thoughtful. A few even looked excited, though they quickly hid it. Vrax raised his hand again. When silence returned, he spoke with cold formality. The Council will deliberate on this matter. You have presented an unprecedented request. We cannot give you an answer today. He paused, and his 4 eyes locked onto Sarah's face. But I will tell you this, Ambassador Chen. In 50,000 years, no species has ever refused the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. The ones who tried were denied membership. They remained isolated outside our protection, beyond our trade networks. Most eventually signed when they realized the cost of independence. Some didn't, Sarah said quietly. We found records of 6 species that never signed. Do you know what they have in common? Vrax said nothing. They're the only species in the Federation that still make major innovations, Sarah continued. They're rare. They're stubborn. But they're also the source of most genuine breakthroughs in the last 1,000 years. You need species like them. You just don't realize it. She took a deep breath. We're not asking for special treatment. We're offering you something valuable. Competition. Challenge. A reason to improve. You can reject us and return to your comfortable stagnation, or you can accept that maybe, just maybe, humanity has something to teach you. Vrax stared at her for a long moment. Finally he spoke. You have 1 year. During that time you will have limited membership status. You may trade with individual species who choose to work with you. You may not access the Federation database. You may not call upon Federation protection. At the end of 1 year, we will revisit this matter. Either you will sign the treaty, or you will be expelled. His voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried through the entire chamber. Choose wisely, Ambassador. Pride is a luxury that small species cannot afford. Sarah met his gaze without flinching.
We're not being prideful, Counselor.
We're being careful. There's a difference. The ceremony ended without celebration. The humans left the chamber in silence, walking through crowds of aliens who stared at them with expressions ranging from anger to curiosity to something that might have been respect. As they reached their shuttle, Webb let out a long breath. Well, that went about as badly as it could have. No, Sarah said, looking back at the massive station. It went exactly as it needed to. Now we'll see what happens next. 18 months had passed since humanity's refusal. Sarah stood on the observation deck of the human embassy on Kepler Station, a trading hub in Federation space. Below her, the streets were crowded with beings from 100 different worlds, and increasingly she saw humans among them. We have 3 more requests, Dr. Okafor said, walking up beside her with a datapad. The Vrelian species wants to collaborate on engine efficiency. The Korthan want help with their medical AI, and the Zephyr Collective is asking about our encryption systems. Sarah smiled. Denied on the encryption. Approved on the others, but standard terms. We provide consultation and training. They provide resources and facilities. Final innovations are jointly owned. That's going to make the Council angry again. The Council has been angry for 18 months, Sarah said. They'll survive. It was true. The Federation Council had not taken humanity's decision well. For the first 6 months, they had tried isolation tactics. No species was supposed to trade with Earth. No collaborative projects. No diplomatic contact beyond what was absolutely necessary. But it hadn't worked. Individual species were too curious. The Vrelians had been first, quietly reaching out to ask about human propulsion systems. Then the Korthan, desperate to solve their AI problems without triggering another sentience disaster. Within a year, over 30 species were working with humans on various projects. The humans had been careful. They never shared core technology. They taught principles, methods, and approaches. They collaborated on specific problems without surrendering their underlying advantages. And most importantly, they delivered results. Captain Webb entered the observation deck. We've got a situation. Pirates hit one of the Saltine trade convoys near the Outer Rim. 3rd attack this month. Let me guess, Sarah said. The Federation response was slow and ineffective. They sent ships 6 hours after the attack. The pirates were long gone. Standard procedure, apparently. Webb shook his head. The Saltine ambassador wants to talk to us, privately. The meeting took place that evening. Ambassador Trell of the Saltine species was a large bear-like creature, with silver fur and 6 eyes. He looked exhausted. The attacks are getting worse, Trell said. The Federation fleet follows protocols. They file reports. They investigate thoroughly. But they never catch anyone. The pirates know exactly how the Federation operates because everyone knows exactly how the Federation operates. There are no secrets in their tactics. You want our help, Sarah said. I want your intelligence network, Trell replied bluntly. We know you have one. We know it's better than anything in the Federation. We've heard rumors. Encryption the Archons can't break, operatives who think like predators. Information that appears like magic. Webb and Sarah exchanged glances. It was true. Humans had built an intelligence network across Federation space using principles that the Federation found alien. Need-to-know information sharing. Compartmentalized operations. Misdirection and false trails. The Federation's culture of total transparency made them blind to these methods. We've already identified your pirate problem, Webb said. It's not random attacks. It's a protection racket run by the Krell species. They have 3 bases in the Outer Rim. They know the Federation's response patterns down to the minute. Trell's eyes widened. How did you learn this? We asked the right questions to the right people at the right times, Webb said. And we didn't broadcast everything we learned across an open database. Will you help us? Sarah considered carefully. We can't take direct military action. We're not full Federation members, but we can share intelligence. And we can teach you how to gather your own. Over the next 3 months, human advisors worked with Saltine security forces. They taught them about intelligence operations, strategic deception, and unpredictable response patterns. The Krell bases were raided simultaneously. The protection racket collapsed, word spread. Other species began to ask questions. How did humans do it? Why were their methods so effective? The answer was always the same. Because they thought differently. Because they competed. because they kept secrets. Then came the plague. It started in the outer sectors, in a region that housed 40 different species. The disease was unlike anything the Federation had seen before. It attacked cellular structures, but it adapted faster than any known pathogen. Federation medicine was useless. The doctors tried every treatment in their database. Nothing worked. Dr. Okafor arrived at the plague zone with a team of human medical specialists. They set up a field laboratory on the planet Theron Phi, where thousands were dying every day. "It's not behaving like a normal disease," one of the human doctors reported. "It's almost like it's learning. It adapts to whatever we throw at it." "Our medical nanobots are based on evolutionary principles," Okafor said. "They adapt too. Let's see if they can adapt faster." For 3 days, the human team worked without sleep. They modified their medical nanobots, teaching them to evolve in response to the plague. It was technology they had developed over decades, based on understanding how natural selection worked at the microscopic level. On the 4th day, they had a cure. The treatment spread quickly. Human medical teams fanned out across the affected sectors. Within 2 weeks, the plague was under control. Millions of lives were saved. Sarah stood before the Federation Council again. This time the atmosphere was different. Not hostile, but uncertain. Frax looked at her with his 4 eyes, and she couldn't read his expression. "You saved 40 species from extinction," a council member said. "We are grateful." "We did what anyone would do," Sarah replied. "Life-saving technology should be shared freely. We told you that from the beginning." "But you also proved something else," Frax said slowly. "Your medical technology was more advanced than ours." "How is that possible?" "We have 50,000 years of accumulated knowledge." Sarah nodded to Dr. Okafor, who stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, you have 50,000 years of accumulated solutions. But you stopped developing new approaches. Your medical database is comprehensive for known diseases. But this plague was unknown. It required innovation, not information." He pulled up a holographic display showing the evolution of human medical technology. "Our nanobots are based on evolutionary algorithms. We didn't try to engineer perfect solutions. We created systems that could evolve and adapt on their own. It took us 50 years of constant development to get them right. 50 years of failures and breakthroughs and trying again. If we had given you this technology 3 years ago when we first arrived," Sarah added, "you would have added it to your database. But would you have kept improving it? Would you have continued to push its limits? Or would you have filed it away as solved and moved on?" The chamber was silent. "This plague killed millions before we stopped it," Sarah continued, her voice heavy. "But it could have killed billions. If we had stopped innovating 3 years ago, if we had become comfortable with what we already knew, if we had traded our future for your past." She looked around the chamber, meeting as many eyes as she could. "We refused to share everything, not because we're selfish. We refused because we understood something that you've forgotten. Innovation requires pressure. It requires competition. It requires the fear that if you don't improve, you might fail. The Treaty of Shared Knowledge removed that pressure. It made you comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of progress." "You're saying our most sacred treaty is a mistake," an alien said angrily. "I'm saying it has unintended consequences," Sarah replied. "It was created with good intentions. But it's been killing innovation for thousands of years. And that innovation could have saved the millions who died before we arrived." Captain Webb stepped forward. "We've been tracking something else. 3 species have quietly approached us about withdrawing from the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. They're young species. They joined the Federation within the last 1,000 years. And they're starting to realize what they've lost." Vrax stood abruptly. "That is a violation of Federation law." "No," Sarah said calmly. "It's not. We checked. The treaty can be withdrawn from at any time. It's just that no one ever has because you've built a culture where suggesting it feels like heresy." She took a step closer to the council. "But maybe heresy is what you need. Maybe you need species that challenge your assumptions. Maybe you need competition to push you forward. Maybe you need the possibility of failure to make your successes meaningful." "And if we refuse?" Vrax asked. "If we tell you to sign the treaty or leave?" "Then we leave," Sarah said simply. "And we take with us every species that wants to keep innovating. We'll build our own alliance, one based on collaboration without surrender, on trading without total transparency, on friendship that respects boundaries." The threat hung in the air. Several council members looked shocked. Others looked thoughtful. A few even looked relieved. as if someone had finally said what they'd been thinking for centuries. Vrax sat down slowly. For the first time since Sarah had met him, the ancient Archon looked uncertain. "The Council will deliberate," he said quietly, "but perhaps it is time we asked ourselves some difficult questions." 5 years had passed since humanity first refused to sign the Treaty of Shared Knowledge. Sarah stood before the Federation Council once again, but this time the chamber felt different. There was an energy in the air that hadn't been there before. An excitement, a nervousness. Something was changing. Councillor Vrax looked older somehow, though Sarah wasn't sure if Archons actually aged. His 4 eyes studied her carefully as she took her place at the center of the chamber. "Ambassador Chen," he began, "5 years ago you made a choice that shocked this council. You refused our most sacred tradition. Many of us thought you were making a terrible mistake. Some believed you were arrogant. Others thought you were foolish." He paused, and something like a smile crossed his face. "We were wrong." A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Sarah kept her expression neutral, but her heart raced. Vrax gestured, and a massive holographic display appeared above them. It showed graphs and charts, data streaming in from across Federation space. "This is the technological innovation rate for the entire Federation," Vrax explained. "As you can see, it has been declining for the last 10,000 years. Slowly, steadily. We told ourselves it was because we had already discovered everything important. We believed we had reached the peak of knowledge." The display changed. Now it showed the last 5 years highlighted in bright blue. But in the last 5 years, something changed. The innovation rate has increased by 347%. We have seen more genuine breakthroughs in this short time than in the previous 500 years combined. Another council member stood. It was Trell of the Saltine, the species that had first worked with humans on the pirate problem. "My people have opened our first independent research institute in 2,000 years, Trell said. "We are developing new technologies without immediately adding them to the Federation database. And we are not alone. 27 species have established similar programs. 43 species have withdrawn from the Treaty of Shared Knowledge," another council member added. She was from the Vrelian species, one of the earliest to collaborate with humans. "They have adopted what we now call the Innovation Accords model. Collaboration without complete surrender of intellectual property." Dr. Okafor stepped forward at Sarah's gesture. "May I present our findings?" Vrax nodded. Okafor pulled up another display. "We've been studying what we call the innovation paradox. When all knowledge is freely shared, the incentive to create new knowledge disappears. Why spend decades developing something when you can just download it? Why take risks when success is guaranteed by using existing solutions?" He showed images of various species engaged in research projects. But when species maintain proprietary technology, they create what we call competitive pressure. They want to be first. They want to be best. They want to have something others don't. That desire drives innovation faster than any other force. "We've also seen something unexpected," Okafor continued. "Species that withdrew from the treaty are now collaborating more than ever before, because they have something unique to offer. Because trading creates value for both sides. The Federation used to share everything freely. But now species trade innovations and both sides benefit more than they did under the old system." A young Archon scientist stood up. Sarah recognized her from reports. Her name was Sala, and she had caused quite a stir 6 months ago by proposing a radical new approach to quantum mechanics. "I was raised believing that the Treaty of Shared Knowledge was the greatest achievement of our civilization," Sala said. Her voice was passionate. "But then I met human scientists. They showed me something I had never experienced before. The joy of discovery, the thrill of creating something no one has ever made, the pride of solving a problem that others couldn't." She looked at Vrax. "For 3,000 years you've guided this council with wisdom. But humanity has taught us that wisdom isn't about having all the answers. It's about asking new questions." Vrax was quiet for a long moment. Finally he spoke. "I have lived for 3,847 years. I have seen the rise and fall of civilizations. I have guided the Federation through wars, plagues, and disasters. I thought I had seen everything." He looked directly at Sarah. "But I have never been curious. Not truly. When you have access to all knowledge, curiosity becomes obsolete. When every question has an answer, you stop wondering. When you are always right, you stop learning." He stood and his voice grew stronger. "Ambassador Chen, you asked us a question 5 years ago. You asked if our treaty was killing innovation. We were offended. We were angry. We dismissed your concerns. But you were right. The Treaty of Shared Knowledge has been slowly suffocating us for millennia. We were dying so comfortably that we didn't even notice. The chamber erupted in noise. Some aliens cheered. Others protested. But Vrax raised his hand for silence. The Federation Council has voted, he announced. The Treaty of Shared Knowledge will remain in existence for those who wish to sign it. But it is no longer mandatory. We are implementing the Innovation Accords as an alternative framework. Sarah felt relief wash over her. But Vrax wasn't finished. Under the Innovation Accord, species may maintain proprietary technology. They may keep trade secrets. They may compete with each other. But they must also collaborate on civilization-scale challenges. Life-saving technology must be shared. Environmental threats must be addressed collectively. Defensive alliances must be maintained. He smiled, and this time it was genuine. In essence, we are adopting the human model. Competition where it drives innovation. Cooperation where it saves lives. Boundaries that create strength. Transparency where it builds trust. It is messy. It is complicated. It is imperfect, he paused. It is alive. Another council member stood. There is more. The council has voted to establish a new designation. Throughout our history, we have identified rare species that change the course of galactic civilization, species that force us to see the universe differently. We call them catalyst species. In 50,000 years, we have identified only 6. The alien looked at Sarah with respect. Humanity is now the 7th. Ambassador Chen, we offer you a seat on the Federation Council, not as a junior member, not as a probationary voice, but as an equal, a full partner in shaping the future of the galaxy. Sarah had prepared a speech. She had practiced it for weeks. But now, standing in this chamber, watching these ancient beings admit they had been wrong, she found she didn't need it. We accept, she said simply. But I want to be clear about something. We didn't refuse to share because we thought we were better than you. We refused because we knew we weren't good enough yet. We're young. We're inexperienced. We're still learning. The only advantage we have is that we're still hungry. She looked around the chamber. Every species here has something unique, something precious, something that only you could create because of your specific history, your specific challenges, your specific way of seeing the universe. The old treaty asked you to give that away. The new accords ask you to develop it, to nurture it, to make it stronger, and then to share it, someone asked. And then to trade it, Sarah corrected. Because when you trade, both sides gain. When you give everything away for free, nothing has value. But when you offer something unique in exchange for something equally unique, both sides become richer. Captain Webb stepped forward with a data pad. We're transmitting something to the Council database right now. It's a list of 73 technologies that humanity is willing to share freely. Medical breakthroughs, environmental restoration techniques, agricultural improvements, things that save lives and improve quality of life. And the rest of your technology? Someone asked suspiciously. The rest we'll trade, Webb said with a slight smile. We'll collaborate on projects. We'll license some things. We'll keep other things proprietary, just like you can now. That's how healthy relationships work. You don't give away everything. But you don't hoard everything either. You find balance. Dr. Okafor added, we're also establishing the Human Innovation Institute. It will accept students from any species. We'll teach them not what to think, but how to think, how to question assumptions, how to take risks, how to fail productively, how to compete without destroying, how to cooperate without surrendering. Vrax nodded slowly. The galaxy is about to become a very different place. More chaotic, more competitive, more uncertain, more alive, Sarah said. Yes, Vrax agreed. More alive. The session ended with something Sarah had never heard in the Federation Council before. Argument. Dozens of species immediately began negotiating trade deals with each other. Others formed research partnerships. Some announced competitive initiatives to develop new technologies. The chamber buzzed with energy and excitement. As Sarah left the chamber, Vrax stopped her. I was wrong about you, he said quietly. I thought your refusal was arrogance, pride, a young species that didn't know its place. And now? Sarah asked. Now I understand. You refused to share everything because you remembered something we had forgotten. You remembered what it's like to dream of something that doesn't exist yet, to want something you don't have, to reach for something beyond your grasp. He looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent walls.